Welcome back to the Lions Den Sports Podcast. I'm Chase Gispert,
And I'm Troy Allen.
and man, it's good to be back.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
And
Man.
today we're gonna be talking about two things: the NFL offseason, which has been huge with the draft coming up, a lot of movement for a lot of teams, and then March Madness as well at the end. But first, let's go into the NFL offseason. Troy, take it away.
Oh yeah, 100%. So no, obviously the NFL offseason has been completely jam packed so far. Lots of teams making different moves and stuff like that. Starting off with the Steelers, man, one of the busiest teams this offseason. My favorite team. Russell. So before we get into the Russell Wilson and Justin Fields stuff, there were many reports heading into this season that the Steelers were going to get either one of Fields or Russell Wilson, and they got both.
That's crazy.
The Steelers signed Russell Wilson to a cheap deal, 1 year, $1 million deal, and then obviously a couple of days later, Fields gets traded to the Steelers. And before he was traded to the Steelers, Kenny Pickett was traded to the Eagles. So first thing I want to start off in this little mini segment. Obviously, the Bears are in prime position to draft a highly scouted quarterback, Caleb Williams out of USC. He's been deemed, as like the next Mahomes, basically for like the last 2 seasons now. Yeah. He's had a great college career. Some controversy with him, but I think that's all nonsense. He hasn't done anything actually wrong in my opinion. But he's my QB1 for this coming draft, and the Bears are clearly making a statement that we're getting him. The Steelers, they also and another big news, they also signed All-Pro Patrick Queen, 3 years, $41 million coming from the Ravens. What a steal! I think that might have been one of the bigger surprises of this season. I thought the Ravens were going to try to bring back everybody from that group, and the fact that the Steelers were able to pull him away from a division rival, a team that was just in a conference championship. Right. So was pretty great in my opinion.
Yeah, it's gonna be interesting to see because I know Roquan Smith, like him and Queen, maybe arguably one of the best linebacker tandems in the NFL, and now Queen going to the Steelers. Maybe he kind of becomes linebacker one for Pittsburgh. Who else do y'all have at linebacker?
So that whole front side is kind of loaded. Alex Highsmith.
Okay, I was gonna say Highsmith. Yeah,
Highsmith. T.J. Watt. Yep. Obviously Cam Hayward on the defensive line. Obviously Minka. We traded Deontay Johnson for Panthers cornerback Dante Jackson.
That's 2 LSU players.
Yeah, 100%.
Patrick Queen and Dante Jackson now both Steelers.
So it's been a good offseason for us. Obviously, there's still a draft. Obviously, there's still more things to do. Justin Simmons is still out there.
Yeah, I saw that.
Brandon Ayuk, we don't know what's going on with him. A potential trade could happen with him. And shoot, talking about stealing great players from division rivals, T. Higgins requested a trade, at the beginning of free agency. So we don't know what's going on with him. So, lots of things to be happy and going forward with the Pittsburgh Steelers, man.
Yeah, definitely. One thing, probably the biggest splash to me that stuck out was Saquon to the Eagles.
Oh yeah.
3 years, $37 million. Good signing for the Eagles, or should they have focused the money elsewhere? I think it's a good signing. Honestly, they may have. I know you could say it's a little pricey, but with the hip drop tackle being gone, you never know.
Oh yeah, exactly, and that's a discussion for another day too. But I do think it's a good signing. I think I think whenever you have a running back like Saquon, he could turn a good offense into a great offense, and that's what the Eagles really needed over the last 2 years. They've had success with sort of mid-tier running backs, and we all know
Miles
Saquon.
Sanders. I know it's kind of extreme, but he was a stud on the Eagles, and he was on the worst team in the league, the Panthers, last year, but his production really plummeted.
Exactly.
I think DeAndre Swift's, I think he's above mid-tier for sure. I think he's a good running back, but definitely Saquon's more talented.
Oh, 100%. 100%.
I think Saquon's arguably the most. I think he is the most talented running back in the league. Maybe outside of him and McCaffrey.
Yep. Yep.
Just off a pure skill set. But behind that Eagles O line, they do lose Jason Kelsey to retirement, but they still got Lane Johnson and all pros man in that line. So really, they should be a nasty offense next year. We'll see
100%.
how it works out, but yeah, definitely a good move for the Eagles, I think. And then speaking of running backs, Derrick Henry to the Ravens. That's probably a great one. That's a huge headline. Lamar Jackson and Derrick Henry in the same backfield. That just defensive coordinators are gonna lose a lot of sleep at night preparing to play the Ravens next year. That's for sure.
Especially with the development of like Zay Flowers too.
Yeah,
that offense
as he develops more, and a healthy Mark Andrews. Yeah, the Ravens. It seems like they're just right there. They can't get over the hump. You certainly could argue that this should push them over the hump, but obviously you got to play on the field. But Derrick Henry's he's been a absolute Hall of Famer in my eyes for sure. Yeah. The last several years he's been at the top in rushing statistics. Guy's just an absolute beast. So definitely by far the best running back Lamar Jackson's had in the backfield. Maybe takes some weight off his shoulders running and keeps him more fresh and healthier throughout the season, because we know injuries have affected him.
I saw this stat provided by Nick Wright. He said that Lamar Jackson has led the Ravens in rushing yards every single season he's been a starter. Mm-hmm. And so maybe this is like the first year he can like take that step back.
I think it's a good thing for sure.
100%. And speaking of skill position players, Keenan Allen goes to the Bears.
Yeah, and the Bears looking on the up. They're making some moves.
So obviously they made a move for DJ Moore, who had a career year last year. They're bringing in Keenan Allen. I believe they still have Darnell Mooney, if I'm not mistaken, and they have Cole Kmet. Those are great 4 receiving options for Caleb Williams. And that Bears team last year went 7-10. They've added more talent. They're clearly drafting Caleb Williams, potential playoff spot come 2024.
I think maybe a year early, but I do think they will be in the hunt in the wild card. It honestly just depends on how quickly Caleb Williams adapts, and that's who we presume they will pick, since they let Justin Fields go and they do have the number 1 pick.
Yeah.
So yeah, interesting. No, definitely Bear stock on the rise though, for sure. I'd say
100%.
Yeah, they made some good moves, and you got to take Williams at 1. I know he's got different stuff like, with him saying he would, I think, maybe only play for a few certain franchises. I don't know. I know Eli Manning did that with the Chargers.
Yeah.
Wound up with the Giants. We'll see what happens. Worst case scenario for them, they could just trade the pick for like a lot of. I'm sure anyone will give up a lot for Caleb Williams.
Yeah, exactly.
So, see what else we got here. Kirk Cousins, that's a big one, and it's tough as a Saints fan because I really love Kirk Cousins. I think he's a stand-up guy, hard to dislike. But now signing a massive 4-year, $180 million deal with the Atlanta Falcons, to me, that puts the Falcons. I don't know if you would say division favorites, but for sure, though, now they have the best quarterback in the division. I know Baker had a really good year for Tampa, but and he got a deal as well. He re-signed 3 years up to $115 million. I think it was well earned. We'll see, though, but to me, that just tells me the Saints, unless, I don't know, Derek Carr and the offense completely get better next year. We did get rid of Pete Carmichael. I think we'll be improved, but really it's a 3-horse race, I think, between Atlanta, Tampa Bay, and the Saints, and I would put more stock in Atlanta or Tampa Bay, honestly.
Same here.
As a realistic Saints fan.
I think obviously the Falcons, they were like desperate for like a quarterback. They haven't had one in a couple seasons.
Right, and they have weapons. That's not an issue at all. Bijan Robinson, I think 7th overall pick. He had a solid rookie year. Kyle Pitts has been underutilized since he's been drafted. I think he's an absolute stud. I expect a career year for him. With Kirk Cousins throwing on the ball, and then Drake London as well. Both really, all 3 of them.
Ton of talent.
Arthur Smith, he got a lot of criticism. I think it was deserved. I don't know. He's complaining about the Saints running up the score instead of learning how to call plays for
Yeah,
his best players. So,
exactly.
uh, but yeah, moving on. Yeah, T Higgins, that's a big one because you would think he wants to stay and go chase a ring with the Bengals, but I don't know. I guess the money's that uh there's that big of a discrepancy. I know the Bengals are a cheap franchise though historically, and really as of late as well. I mean, they've let Jesse Bates go. It just seems like they let their good players go in free agency, which I think is pretty stupid on their part. I mean, T Higgins is I think maybe the best number 2 receiver in the entire league.
Yep.
I would
Same
try to
here.
hang on to him, but
Same here.
uh,
I guess they're trying to conserve their money for Jamar because I think he has to get paid too.
yeah, he does.
So
And then speaking of the Bengals, though, Joe Mixon to the Texans, letting him go. That I because running back the market is kind of they're not as important anymore. I wouldn't be as mad about that as a Bengals fan. I do think Chase Brown is pretty good. That rookie, I think it'll be interesting to see if he's the starter if they go out and get a veteran. I'm sure in free agency, but the Texans though they're having a sneaky offseason. They got Joe Mixon. I wanted there's at least one or two other big moves that they made. Do you know off the top of your head? I could look it up and you talk about another team, but
oh yeah, as we look at the Texans, I do want to talk about Jerry Jeudy real quick. He was traded to the Browns, which I do think is like a good move for the Browns. You know, just adding a bit more, receiver talent to that pool. Try to make things easier for Deshaun Watson. But they did pay him 3 years of $58 million. And they still had to pay Amari Cooper, so I just don't know if that's like the move to go.
And Judy's been I don't want to call him a bust, but he's been underwhelming. I think is the best word.
Yes, he's been very okay
for a first round pick. I think he was picked before Justin Jefferson, I believe, in the 2020 draft. So.
Yeah. And speaking of your Saints, they did sign Chase Young to a 1 year,
already having surgery though. So he should be ready though for week 1. We'll see. I think he should be motivated because it's kind of a prove it contract to me.
Yeah, exactly.
And he's
100%.
He's kind of advertising himself to the rest of the league. If he has a good year, the Saints want to throw the cash at him, extend him.
Yeah.
Or but yeah, definitely we needed a pass rusher because Cam Jordan, he's in my opinion, a Hall of Famer. He's been one of the greatest Saints of all time, but he is aging, so definitely nice to pair him with a younger pass rusher.
Yep, and the Jets, they signed Mike Williams, another weapon for Aaron Rodgers.
Yeah,
now with Mike Williams, he does have like an injury history. But he is a great deep ball threat. Obviously, big body, strong hands, can make contested catches. I think that's the type of guy Rodgers is really looking for. And then they still have Garrett Wilson, who I think with Rodgers is going to have like a great year. And then they still have Rodgers' guys from the Packers, Allen Lazard. I think he's still not. I believe he's on the.
Also, to me, Breece Hall is one of the most underrated running backs in the NFL. He is a stud. I was impressed with how, because he blew his knee out his rookie year last year, was having a really good year, blew his knee out, and he looked as explosive as ever last season. So, man, they got a lot of weapons. The Jets should be in the playoff push if they stay healthy. Hopefully Rodgers' Achilles can hold up.
Yep, and the Chiefs, they bring back Chris Jones. They sign Hollywood Brown.
Yeah, that's a good addition.
Over the last 2 seasons, the Chiefs, or really 3 seasons, with the trade of L'Jarius Sneed, the Chiefs have proven that they can trade away their top end talent and still win. Like it wasn't that long ago the Chiefs traded away Tyreek Hill. Everyone thought they were cooked, and then they won a Super Bowl and they had the best offense in the league. This year, best defense in the league, a really bad offense. People thought they were cooked, and they still won the Super Bowl. So clearly they have something going on. It works. And whenever you have Mahomes, Kelsey, and Andy Reid, man, anything can happen. I think the Hollywood Brown signing was pretty good. Just like Chase Young's contract, it is like a prove it deal. I think he's going to fill in the role Juju did in the Super Bowl against the Eagles. He's not going to have like crazy like a 1,500-yard season, but like a quiet 1,000 yards, a couple 7-8 touchdowns, and just do your role. I think he'll produce something around there.
Right.
And maybe first ever 3P in NFL history. I don't know. We'll
Yeah,
see.
he no, it's a really good addition. I think. Well, Tyreek Hill's in a class of his own, but besides him, I think this is the most talented wide receiver that Mahomes will have at his disposal.
Yeah.
And yeah, I mean, Chiefs. I wouldn't bet against them for next year.
Nope.
I was looking it up though. So the Texans, I was gonna say I knew they have been having a really good offseason. They get Joe Mixon, really bolsters that running back room, gives C.J. Stroud another proven weapon.
Yep.
And then they on the defensive side of the ball is where they really made a splash. They got Daniil Hunter, 2-year, $49 million guaranteed from the Vikings. He's been a really underrated pass rusher the past several seasons. All pro caliber. Perfectly. Yeah, all caliber type player. They also went out and got Danico Autry from the Titans. He is another really quality pass rusher, 2-year, $20 million deal. And they also got from the 49ers, Azeez Al-Shahir. Or I'm sorry, the Titans. I think he on the 49ers at one point, or maybe I'm mistaken. I don't know, but he was on the Titans last year. I could have sworn he was on the Niners in years past. But that's another good addition at linebacker. 3 years, $34 million. They are splashing the cash. Yes, and then also Jeff Okudah. He's kind of. I know he was like the second or third pick. I think third pick a few years ago. He's kind of been disappointed, but who knows? Maybe he could revive his career in Houston. I know he's from Texas, so maybe being close to the home will help him out. Exactly. But definitely Houston and the Bears, to me, have made the biggest splashes in the offseason for sure. Houston is a I don't think it's too premature to say a Super Bowl contender.
Oh, no.
I think you could pick them as a dark horse.
Yeah.
I know it's just Stroud's second year. We got to see, but
especially if they trade another receiver too.
Right. They should at the minimum make the playoffs. It would be very disappointing if they don't, and I think they could do some damage as well.
Yep. And speaking of like, all these teams just putting together all these moves, there's been one team that went out in arguably the most disappointing fashion last season that hasn't made any moves so far. The Cowboys.
How about them Cowboys?
The Cowboys have been so quiet this offseason, and in a free agency that has seen receivers request trades and they move teams. Other skill position guys are switching teams. The Cowboys have just stood pat and they haven't done anything.
Yeah, they kind of just sat on their hands. I don't know. Maybe Jerry Jones will make some blockbuster trade on draft night. Maybe. We'll see. But, I agree. Because Leighton Vander Esch retired, right?
Yep.
Because of his neck issues. That's one of their starting linebackers. Good thing for them, Trayvon Diggs will be healthy for next year. That's huge. But, I would be disappointed, too, if I was a Cowboys fan.
Yep.
I mean, they still have, I guess, some time to do so. But it seems like all the big names are kind of, have found their destinations. Really puzzling, too, because usually you'd think Jerry Jones likes to be in the limelight and make stuff happen.
Exactly. And then a report came out yesterday saying that they're going to let Dak just play through his contract. No form of extension yet. So
yeah, I don't think that's a bad move, to be honest. I do like Dak, but
they might have reached their ceiling with him.
Yeah, I think that's a good point. I think this is we keep saying a prove it year, but he, to me, really in the clutch needs to play better in the playoffs. I know he was an MVP consideration. I do think he's very overhated. I think he's a solid quarterback. He gets a lot of criticism which comes with being the Cowboys quarterback. But man, that Packers game, and you could blame the defense too for sure. I mean, they got torched.
48 points.
It was ridiculous. But he did not play well at all in the second half, and he kind of really got his stats looked a lot better because they were down by so much, so they just were airing it out in the second half. But it's just kind of been a reoccurring theme, just good effort, but man, maybe next year. And I think the Cowboys, I know their fans are sick of it, so we'll see with that.
And just two more free agency sightings real quick. Aaron Jones signed with the Vikings. Another guy going to a division rival.
That's going to be spicy because I believe he kind of made a comment basically saying he felt disrespected because the Packers didn't want to pay him at all. And I don't know if their communication with him was poor. They basically just kind of brushed him to the side, which I think he's a really underrated running back in the league. He's very
Yeah.
explosive. Um, will be interesting, but shoot, I don't know who the Vikings quarterback will be now.
Same
But
here.
I mean, Aaron Jones and Justin Jefferson, Jordan Addison, T.J. Hawkinson, definitely some weapons in Minnesota.
And then last free agency move, Josh Jacobs signs with the Packers. You
Mm,
just mentioned them. Josh Jacobs obviously filling in the void for Aaron Jones. Packers last season, had a great turnaround. I think Josh Jacobs, fits fits the team and fits what
yeah,
they're doing.
a little bigger, a more powerful runner than Aaron Jones for
Most
sure.
definitely,
In
yeah.
that cold weather in the playoffs, when you need a sledgehammer, I think that's a good move for Green Bay. I do think they'll miss Aaron Jones though with his explosiveness. Not to say Jacobs isn't, but I think Jones is a little more dynamic catching the ball and making explosive plays. But I mean, Josh Jacobs is still an All Pro. So really, this just kind of pick your poison there. But I think a good move overall. And really, to me, I was surprised. It's like musical chairs with all these running backs in the
Yeah,
league, man.
exactly,
All
exactly.
finding new spots. Thankfully, not Alvin Kamara. We still got him with the Saints. Um, but yeah, that's really pretty much all we have for the NFL. But hey, a lot of stuff going on.
Yeah.
We'll be sure to have a Southeastern episode with just Southeastern centric sports. Maybe next week spring break when we come back, perhaps. But last thing, let's go into March Madness, man. I love March Madness.
Same here.
I mean, speaks for itself. The drama, the double digit seeds with the upsets. Didn't have as many upsets this year as in past, but we still had a handful that really. Just define what the tournament's all about. The biggest one was probably Oakland, the 14 seed beating Kentucky. Oakland, their first ever program victory in the NCAA tournament.
Yeah, shout out to Jack, man.
Yeah, Jack Golke.
Yeah, Jack Golke.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, 10
Yep.
for 20 from three. Took no 2-pointers the entire
Didn't need
game.
'em.
Even the free throws he took came off of a 3-pointer because he got fouled on it. 32 points, man. Shout out to him, man. A future accountant, upsetting Kentucky. Oh man.
Yeah, that's crazy. He's a Division II player, I believe, and then last 2 years for Oakland. That's just the magic of March, man. It was awesome. I do think though Kentucky, John Calipari to me, is over the hill. He deserves a lot of criticism. I think all the talent he brings in every year and just the come up short in the tournament. They did announce they're going to stick with him for next year, but I think he is on the hot seat for sure.
Yeah, I think he has to be.
Yeah. Moving on, another. Really, these were the two biggest upsets, and they came both SEC schools going down. Yale, a 13 seed, defeated Auburn, a 4 seed. I will admit it begrudgingly, I picked Auburn to win it all in my bracket, and they went down on the first day. So,
Dang.
shout out Yale, though. It seems like one of those Ivy League teams like Yale or Lehigh or, I don't know, Harvard, Princeton. It seems like one of them always gets an upset every year, but good for Yale. They got the win. They did get blown out though by San Diego State in the second round, but still they made their march with beating the SEC tournament champions Auburn Tigers.
Exactly.
Another one, Duquesne, the 11 seed, upset BYU a 6. A lot of people have BYU making a deep run in the tournament. First year in the Big 12, they held their own, but Duquesne, baby. I didn't even know they're a college in Pittsburgh. Actually, they're a small little private Catholic college. Making some noise, and then we got Grand Canyon at 12, two 12s. One Grand Canyon upset St. Mary's, and then James Madison upset Wisconsin. The last double-digit seed upset was NC State over Texas Tech, and they're the only double-digit seed alive still in the Sweet 16.
And that's why I'm picking him over Marquette, man.
North Carolina State. I would go with Marquette, but I wouldn't be surprised either way. I'd like to shout out DJ Burns. I love his game. Big fella, kind of old school, back to the basket.
Yep.
If you haven't, checked out NC State's game, definitely watch them against Marquette. Let me pull up the game times. But there's 4 games tomorrow night, and then the other 4 are Friday, down to the Sweet 16. We could preview the matchups. But while my phone's loading for the matchups. 3 games went to overtime so far in the tournament. All happened in the second round, the round of 32. Man, that Houston A&M game. I don't know if you caught
Ooh,
that.
yeah,
I watched the end. It was
tough.
crazy. A&M was down like 12 with 3 minutes left. Somehow sent it to overtime with a buzzer beater three. And then Houston wound up pulling it out in overtime. But man, it was a great game. 100-95. That's another thing. I know that game with the overtime, but the scoring is picking up in college, and I like to see it. I think just the skill set overall, kind of like the NBA. Maybe there's finally been some sort of trickle down. But I think there was a game in the first round, regulation. It was 102-100. Colorado beat Florida. I didn't get to watch that one, but it seemed like an awesome game. NC State, basically the two heroes of March Madness, double-digit seeds, played in the round of 32. NC State and Oakland. DJ Burns Jr. against Jack Golke. I think Golke finished with 6 threes, I want to say. So 16 in 2 games, not too shabby at all. But NC State did pull it out 79-73. That was a really good one. I did watch the overtime. And then Creighton, Oregon was another one that was crazy. Oregon, an 11 seed, really had Creighton beat. They were up by 4 with like under 30 seconds. I believe Creighton made it 2, and then they fouled Oregon. I don't know why they inbounded it to their big man, who was having a tremendous. He had like 25 and 20. Like, he had a freakish outing, but I mean, usually bigs aren't the best free throw shooters, and it was the front end of a 1-and-1. He missed it, and then Creighton went down and tied it up, and wound up winning in double overtime. So those are probably 3 of the best games of the tournament so far.
Speaking of Jack, real quick, I'm looking at the box score again.
Mm-hmm.
He took 17 shots. All of them were threes. That man don't shoot twos.
He's in 2 NCAA tournaments, he didn't take that's 47 shots. I think, right?
No. 37.
30. Yeah, you're right. 37 shots, all 3-pointers. That is insane.
That man does not like twos.
He made 16 of them. So, man, that's crazy. He's only attempted 8 threes all season. Definitely one to remember. Jack Golke, what a legendary little run he went on. But to preview the games, if y'all want to tune in, I know I will. Tomorrow night, Clemson plays Arizona. That should be a good one. Clemson upset Baylor to advance into the Sweet 16. Then San Diego State and UConn, a rematch of last year's national championship game in the Sweet 16. That should be really good. This one, if you like high scoring, definitely tune into this one. Alabama against North Carolina. Alabama loves to shoot threes. All their games seem to be high scoring, and North Carolina is one of the best offenses in the country and remaining in the tournament. And then Illinois against Iowa State. That should be a good one. That one's almost kind of a toss-up to me, but that should be a good game. And then on Friday, you got NC State, only double-digit seed left against Marquette. Then you got Gonzaga against Purdue. Zach Edey has been going crazy. He's a double-double machine for Purdue. Interesting to see how his game translates to the NBA. I could see him struggling for sure, but for now in college, he's been tearing it up. Then Duke and Houston, that should be an awesome one. And Creighton and Tennessee rounds it off for the Friday slate. But some really good matchups. And, man, honestly, I guess you would say UConn probably is the clear favorite right now, followed by Houston and Purdue. But the beauty of the tournament, man, it's really, I could see really almost any team remaining pulling it out. So, yeah, March Madness never seems to disappoint. Certainly hasn't so far this year. I think that's about it. One real quick, I would like to say shout out to the baseball and softball teams for Southeastern.
Oh, yeah, 100%.
We'll go more in depth in another episode of Southeastern Athletics, but baseball has really had a great year. I think they were picked second to last in preseason. Certainly doesn't appear that it's going to go like that. We are, let's see, let me pull up the record. We beat Northwestern State, though, on the road 2 out of 3. So we're 2-1 in conference, won our first series. But overall, we're 17-8, have multiple quality wins. I don't think we've lost a series all season. So have won every series. A lot of them have been 2 out of 3. But, hey, I mean, in baseball, it's really tough to sweep anyone.
Exactly.
And then LSU, obviously, a couple weeks back, maybe 3 weeks ago now, 3 weeks ago, actually, to the day. We lost to LSU 4-3. Should have beat them. And then we did lose to them again last night in Baton Rouge, 8-4, but still very respectable showing. Baseball, and shout out Coach Bobby Barbier, first year here from Northwestern State, beats his former team 2 out of 3 conference opener, and they will be home against HCU for their first home series in the Southland this season. Game 1 is on Thursday, March 28th. Well, yeah, tomorrow. What am I saying? Like, it's like a long way out. Tomorrow night at 6 p.m. So come out.
Support your Lions.
Yeah, pack the pet. They play on Friday at 6 as well, and then they play Saturday at 2 to close them out. But yeah, they're 17-8. Really nice job by Bobby Barbier. Pleasant surprise. I'm not saying I didn't expect. I didn't think they'd be bad by any means, but I didn't expect them to be this good, this quick with a new coach. So definitely shout out the baseball team. And then softball, we know Coach Rick Freeman's one of the best in the business.
24-7 so far.
24-7, 7-2 in conference. Bailey Krolchek is batting well over 400. OPS well over 1.1. She's killing it. Reigning Southland Conference Player of the Year and Hitter of the Year. Her stats are actually better right now than they were this time last year, which is crazy to think about.
She going crazy, man. She going crazy.
Yeah, she is something. But yeah, they're playing right now against Pacific on the West Coast. They play Pacific in California, 3 games, doubleheader right now. Third game tomorrow, and then they play Santa Clara, doubleheader on Friday. Then they return home. A little Cali trip for the softball girls.
And they're currently winning 4-1, top of the 5th.
Yeah, so shout out the Lady Lions, man, trying to get win number 25 already on the season. Hopefully, I got a good feeling. I think this is the year we finally overtake McNeese and win the Southland because, man, we've had some tremendous records just to come in second to dang McNeese. But I think this year is different. We'll see, but yeah.
Yeah, and we don't play McNeese until May 3rd. And then there's a doubleheader on the 4th, and that's in Texas too.
Oh, that's in Lake Charles.
Yeah,
but
yeah, Lake Charles, not Texas.
Oh, and I forgot, we get to host the Southland Conference tournament in Hammond, so that's gonna be huge, man. Because I mean, that's where you get the automatic bid. It's hard to get 2 bids as a smaller conference like the Southland, even as competitive as good as I think it is, but. Yeah, that's a huge advantage having it in Hammond. I know we'll definitely be there for sure. So, yeah, good luck. Continue success for baseball and softball. They've been doing great. And yeah, we'll go and we'll show love to all the Southeastern sports in our next podcast. But yeah, I think that'll do it for us today. Sir. So yeah, maybe in the comments y'all want to have any suggestions or what we want to talk about next. We broke down NFL. Went in depth with that, and then March Madness. Southeastern sports will be in the next pod, but that'll do it for the Lions Den Sports Podcast. I'm Chase Gispert.
I'm Troy Allen.
And we'll see y'all next time. Have a safe and fun spring break.
Yes, sir.
Peace.
Oh, damn.